Welcome to Chai with Molly, a show where we celebrate diversity the Canadian way. I am Molly and I look so much forward to seeing you every week on Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. So thank you for tuning in. And also thank you so much for all those emails and phone calls with all your opinions about our show. It really means a lot to us that you're watching our program and that you take the time to send us your thoughts. We appreciate that. So keep that coming. Today we have a very, very special guest for you. An immigrant, a son of an immigrant whose parents arrived on the Canadian shores in the 1950s with only 2 suitcases, and one of them got stolen. So they started their life in this country with language barriers and no financial help. And from that point on, he has become an iconic figure in the Canadian business world. I'm talking about Walter Schneider. Walter Schneider is the president and the co-founder of ReMax Ontario Atlantic, Canada. With 35% of the global ReMax network consisting of a total of over 2,500 franchised offices and 26,000 sales associates in 38 countries in 6 regional operations. Last year, the company generated $1.6 billion. So let's find out how he has been able to do this. Today we have a very, very special guest in our studio with us who is a very successful businessman, and he's the son of an immigrant just like you and I, and he's going to tell us how he got to be where he is today. So welcome to our show.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell us, you are a son of an immigrant?
2 of them actually. But
all right.
Yes, my mother came to Canada in 1948.
Okay.
And my father came here in 1950. They came from Europe.
All right.
And it was a very typical story after the Second World War. They came through a lot of adversity. They survived the war, World War II.
Yes.
But pretty much landed in Canada penniless. My father always tells the story of when he passed away a number of years ago, but he told me the story that when the boat landed in Quebec City, where he was received to Canada, that as he looked across the fence there where his 2 suitcases were, one of them he watched one of them get stolen by a dock worker, took one of his suitcases away. So he did arrive with 2 suitcases in Canada, but only one managed to get through.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a classic story. There were a lot of immigrants that came to Canada after the Second World War, all through the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
And I was one of those products of that.
All right. Time. So what are some of your recollections growing up? Some of the struggles, I guess, that your parents may have faced or you may have faced?
Sure. Well, you know what? You look back at them and I think they make you stronger.
Absolutely.
At the time, you probably don't think that. I led a very, very modest childhood, and my parents were working class people, blue collar workers. They worked very hard. We had a small home in Toronto.
Yes.
They had boarders that lived in that home with us, and it was through those circumstances that I was raised. It was very familiar for me to be raised in a home with boarders and very small, and then limited bathrooms and all those kinds of things. So
help us to understand from that point in your life where you did have a very modest life to a company that is now generating $1.6 billion. So walk us through that process. How did you get to be where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked that question many times, and
Yes.
There's no such thing as an overnight success. I think it's I've been working at for over 30 years in my
Yes.
business, and one of my good friends has said it's 30 years of days and 30 years of nights. So he's been in business 60 years.
All right.
I think anybody who has a dream in a business, I think step 1 is you show up every day.
Okay.
And you just aspire. And I think that you have to also be very, I was never motivated by money in the beginning, very candidly. You have to just be willing to change something, do something significant.
Tell us about your dream.
Well, I think when we started ReMax here in Canada, our dream was to change the business.
Okay.
At that time, late 70s, early 80s, the real estate business was not a very nice place for good people to work in, high quality and professionals. Quite honestly, it was unfair. Where it was a regressive system at the time. It was the 50-50 concept. Basically, the more you made, the more you paid. And it was so we brought our system into the country, thinking we're going to change it. We're going to reward the good producers in the industry, provide great facilities, great services, and take out the bottom producers, non-producers in the industry.
Okay. All right.
That was the fundamental idea. We wanted to change the landscape of the business, and that's what we did. And I think obviously
it has worked.
It's worked. That's right.
It has really worked very well. And all of us, ReMax is such a well-known brand, and everywhere you go, you see ReMax signs everywhere. And ReMax agents are considered to be one of the best in the industry.
Correct.
And very professional. Now, give us some sense of why has ReMax done so well in Canada as opposed to maybe even U.S.
We do great in many parts of the world. Obviously, some parts we do better. Canada, a number of things. I think the leadership here. I think my partner and I have a partner of the same year, for the same 32 years now.
Okay.
And I think we've given the company good leadership. I think that we have incredible broker owner network. That's with our organization. We've been successful in hiring the best agents in the business. We've done a lot of great brand building for our product.
Yes.
I think we just executed the model properly. It's fascinating. You look at other companies like, say, Tim Hortons, for instance, which is an icon in Canada. They've done a wonderful job in Canada, but they've struggled in other parts of the United. I mean, for instance, they struggled in New England, where we, ReMax ourselves, have done exceptionally well in New England.
Okay, so what do you attribute that to?
You know what? What I've learned, we operate the ReMax brand in 35 countries worldwide, and what I've learned through this process was that, and it's been through the school of hard knocks.
Yes.
We were very successful in Canada and decided to launch in the United States, many parts of the United States, and quite candidly, we struggled for a while. We didn't have enough market knowledge. We had some issues about, I think, not understanding that things are done differently. And I think what I've learned from my years in business is that never go into a market believing that you can exactly duplicate what you've done somewhere else.
Yes.
It'll be the same concepts, the same framework, but you're going to have some challenges and issues.
Yes.
And I believe that Canada is a very competitive marketplace. And I think what Canada has done for us, it's taught us how to be better business people.
Yes.
I can honestly say that working here in Canada challenges you more than other parts of the world, but I think in doing so, it prepares you for those other parts of the world.
Okay, so give us some examples. In what ways are we challenged more here in Canada?
I think just because we have a very big country, I think we have a limited population, we have higher expenses to launch product. Taxes can be a little bit more prohibitive sometimes.
Yes.
Cost of doing business is a little more prohibitive. I just think you have to be better. I think that you just have to be better at it. And I can see that with my international operations. I think, I think Canada has trained you to be a better business person.
No matter where you go.
Correct.
Wonderful.
And, and having European heritage, but really having been born and raised here, I can speak of that. It's very interesting with my European heritage. When we launched ReMax in Europe,
yes,
along with my partner, I was very fortunate to have had a second culture that was nurtured in this country.
Yes.
I was very fortunate to be able to speak a second language, which came with me with my birth. It gave me some advantages to going to these marketplaces. I think Canadians as business people have much more global thinking. A market like the United States, for instance, can be much more inward, doesn't require itself because it's just the size of it. 300 million plus people,
yes,
all self-contained. I mean, Canada makes you work harder. It's stretching across the country.
Plus, we have people from all over the world, and who have immigrated to this wonderful country,
Correct.
and we get to interact with them on a daily
Correct.
basis, which gives us a greater understanding of what's happening in the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think we should be very. I think what we forget here in Canada is how fortunate we are to live in a society, and the United States as well, where you really are not suppressed by any kind of social order
Yes.
or caste system or anything that limits your ability. I think anybody,
Equal opportunity.
Total equal opportunity for
Yes.
anyone, anywhere, anytime. And I always remember my father telling me He said, I came here, he said, I couldn't speak the language. He said, I really wasn't educated in this country.
Yes.
He said, you've got great advantages. You're coming here, you can speak the language, you're educated, and you're familiar.
Yes.
And I think that's, I think certainly for the parents, the children of immigrants today that come to Canada, I think it's so much easier for them.
Yes, a lot of parents give up a lot.
Absolutely.
For the same reason that they want their children to have better opportunities.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me, who inspired you to do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been really blessed. I had a great partner.
Yes.
Our founder in Denver, Mr. Lineker, was an incredible icon for us to follow. He was like the Ray Kroc, he still is like the Ray Kroc of McDonald's, or Dave Thomas of Wendy's, or Ron Joyce of Tim Hortons.
Yes.
So I think Dave was very inspirational to us. I've been very fortunate along the way. I've met some incredibly talented people that were very sharing. Mm-hmm. I think the most successful people you'll find that have been successful in life will share willingly.
Yes.
And I think as a person, you need to seek them out. I know people throughout the United States, Europe, that are, household names. I won't mention here, but I know them on a first name basis. And you know what? They've always been great sharers. And what I've learned from that experience is that you got to share yourself.
Yes.
I think that you have to really share, give unconditionally.
And you will receive.
And you will receive. It'll come back to you 10x. It really will come back to you.
Now, having been a successful businessman who continues to inspire lots of people all over the world, basically, there must have been times when it wasn't all that wonderful. So what kept you going?
Well, I think an undying belief. We've faced a lot of challenges in our 30-year history of our company. We've had, my partner was in a plane crash. We've had health challenges throughout the organization some different times. We've obviously gone through economic hardship. I've lived through 4 recessions in my business career. Not in Canada right now, but certainly in the United States we're experiencing it.
Exactly.
So I think you have to have an undying belief. I think that you have to believe that what you're doing every day is going to make a difference. And if you believe that, it inspires you. I look at people that have come through great adversity. You hear these stories all the time.
Yes.
And I've lived a pretty charmed life. I've worked very hard, but I haven't had to face war. I haven't had to face natural disasters.
Exactly.
I haven't had to face, revolutions that every night when you turn on the news, look what's going on in different parts of the world right now.
Exactly. We're so fortunate.
We're very fortunate,
Yes.
My parents they lived through a war. They were bombed. Their homes were bombed. There's violent fighting going on in their villages where they lived. And so I've never had to face that. I've just had to get up, go to work. Yeah, you had to deal with adversity, you had to deal with high interest rates. Yeah, you had to deal with unemployment numbers. You had to deal with economic setbacks. The high-tech meltdown, most recently this issues in 2008, 2009. But at the end of the day, they all have solutions. It's an interesting thing. In times of economic hardship, there are 8 times more millionaires created than in times of boom.
That's really interesting.
Yes. And it's because people seek opportunity.
There's always an opportunity
Correct.
In every situation.
Correct. If you look at the last 20 years, 25 years in Canada, look at the wonderful success stories of people who've come from around the world, opened up great retail operations, manufacturing operations, high-tech businesses. It's fantastic. They've come to this country with an undying will.
Yes, and that's the key.
Correct.
Right? So whatever it was that motivated you to come to this country, you keep hold of that goal and that dream, and then you just keep at it.
It's interesting is I've followed and studied immigrants myself. Most that come here because they didn't have something from where they came.
Absolutely, yes.
And so they've come here either to improve the lives for themselves, improve the lives for their family, seek new opportunity.
Yes.
It takes, I think about my mother in 1948, at the age of 20 or 21, going across the ocean in a boat, not able to speak the language, with virtually maybe $100 or $200 in her pocket, and facing this adversity. She landed in Winnipeg, actually, when she came here. To face that, that takes great courage.
Absolutely.
And not knowing, think of someone like us who was raised here in North America and dropping us into Africa or South America, somewhere where things are more primitive, and how would we react?
Yes.
You know, so I have great admiration for people who come over and the sacrifice they make coming over here.
Yes. So you have a business partner that you've been with for a very long time. A lot of people start out in businesses with partners, and there are times when there are disagreements.
Yeah.
So how have you handled that?
You know what? We've been asked that question, you know, time and time again.
Yes.
And I mean, there's a couple of things I think that a great business partnership is like a great marriage. I've been fortunate, you know, I've just celebrated my 25th wedding anniversary just.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Just recently, and there's a couple of things, and I think this is what the key is. I think first of all, you both have to have the same goal.
Yes.
You have to have the same direction, same goal. You may have different ways of getting there, but you both have the same goals. Number two, you have to constantly communicate and exchange ideas. Nobody should have the position that he or she is the exclusive author of an idea. So it's exchange and exchange, give and take, right? The third thing, when there are disagreements, don't let them brew. I mean, you know, just get them out, get them cleared, dialogues, fix it. You know, 24 hours later, let's get it on. Let's go on with things. Let's move forward.
Were you friends before?
I actually worked for him before.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting.
All right.
Yeah, so and then the fourth thing, which is the most important one in my mind, I think it's just like in a good marriage. I think it's don't keep score.
Yes.
You know, I don't think this concept 50-50 stuff. I mean, there, you know, in a marriage, one partner has better strengths than the other.
Yes.
In a business relationship, I think it's exactly the same. You know, Frank and I have been partners for 32 years. There's some things he's extraordinarily good at, much better at than
identifying who's better at what.
Right.
And then
and vice
harnessing
versa,
that.
vice versa. And don't let your ego get in the way. And another thing that's in there all the time is that never take the position that I did it. I think you need to have the position that we did it.
We did it, yes.
You know, and then once you have the we in that sentence, it doesn't matter who keeps score. We don't keep score.
And now we know why you've been married for 25 years. I can tell.
Thank you.
That's really good wisdom.
Thank you.
Now, I have one more question for you. You are an expert in real estate, so we have to ask you this question. Why has real estate done so well in Canada as opposed to US?
Well, there's probably no single reason. There's a whole bunch of reasons, right?
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I think our banks have acted responsibly.
Yes.
They've been intelligent in this process. Number two, we've become a destination for the world. You know, and as much as people, for instance, we're doing this interview in Toronto.
Yes.
You know, Toronto is an expensive city, but by world standards, it's still reasonably priced. I mean,
Yes.
you know, I was recently in Manhattan, and you know, unbelievable what you have to pay there for a condo. So compared to Toronto.
Yes.
So it's affordability. Interest rates have been great. We've had a continuous wave of immigration here.
Yes.
We've had an explosion of single-person households. You know, it's interesting when I started the real estate business back in the 1970s, the single-person household was really an odd thing. You know, single women, single men didn't buy houses or didn't buy real estate. They typically rented. That's changed today. So that's out there. Then we have the dynamics of the marketplace. We have things that, like divorce drives real estate. We have later family formation drives real estate. You know, people are living longer, so they're making more moves in the sequence. So it's just a combination of elements all coming together at the same time.
Wonderful.
The quality of the product is great. You know, the desirability of living in a place like Toronto or Vancouver or Calgary. These are great cities to live in by world standards. They're safe. They're manageable. There are a lot of great things happening. So I mean, the list is endless.
Now we keep hearing in the news all the time, and it always surprises me. They keep telling me, "Oh, it's a bubble. It's going to burst any time," and they've been saying that for years, and we haven't seen anything like that. Do you anticipate anything like that coming up in the future?
You know what? We've been very fortunate here in Canada. We've had about 15 years of, you know, continuous growth and continuous uptick.
Yes.
I don't see a crash. But I do think there's going to be some correction. Correction, I think is, you know, I think that...
a healthy correction.
Healthy correction, yeah, I think so. I don't think that, you know, that what I don't like in the market is when we have people lining up making offers and that whole thing. I don't think anybody wins in that process.
Yes.
Bidding up of properties. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the realtor that does it. At the end of the day, it's the consumer has decided, he or she decides that they're prepared to do that.
Yes.
I think there's risk associated with that. But on all, I think that I think if anything we're going to have is maybe a bit of a soft landing. It's very interesting. We do a lot of business in the United States, and I just came back from the U.S. last week, and there's actually, in parts of the United States, there's a listing shortage. There's a lack of inventory.
Wow.
And I can tell you, for instance, in California, there's about a 3.5 month supply.
Okay, so that means the market has begun to correct itself in the U.S. as well?
Correct. Okay. Places like South Florida, 4-month supply. So you're seeing things being corrected. Now, what people make a mistake about is that they think the national market. Really, Canada is dozens and dozens of local markets.
Yes.
So Vancouver may behave differently than Toronto, and it behaves differently than Quebec City or Halifax.
Yes.
And vice versa, the United States. Places like Boston, great parts of Boston, were never really hit that badly by the recession, but yet other parts in Massachusetts got hurt.
Yes.
So it's the old story, if there's a great value proposition to a property, it will sell. If it's well located, if it's got a lot of bones, as we call them in the real estate business, a lot of bells and whistles, it'll sell, it'll move. But if it's just some poorly thought out real estate exercise, then it'll have some challenges.
Wonderful. Now, you're a very successful businessman. We can see that very well. Who is Walter as a person?
Oh, well, I can tell you, well, it's just very, I think I'm inspired by my business. I'm really proud to be a Canadian. I consider myself very fortunate to have been born and raised in this country. It was a decision really that my family made that I didn't make. They brought me here, right? So I'm grateful for that. I have 3 kids. They're growing up now. My youngest is off in university. And so we've gone through that curve. We're almost going to be empty nesters.
All right.
And so my wife and I, we have a wonderful time. We travel a bit. We certainly enjoy our cottage up in Muskoka.
Yes.
That's a big plus for us.
Okay.
I love that. And that's another point I do want to make. I think the immigrants in Canada, that's something they haven't discovered yet. And I think you'll see in the next 15, 20 years a big movement of first generation Canadians identifying that. It's interesting. My daughter, a number of years ago, graduated from Wilfrid Laurier University.
Okay.
And she brought a bunch of her girlfriends or fellow classmates up at the end of the year. And it was very interesting. She had a girl there. One of the girls was from India. One of the girls was from Korea.
Yes.
A couple of girls from Canada.
Yes.
Another girl from Europe that was studying. It was just interesting to see this mix of all young.
You see that more and more wherever you go. And it's really wonderful because we in Canada have found out a way of making it happen.
Right.
We could give some lessons to United Nations because they
For
just
sure.
they know how to get along.
You'll see this kind of, I think, an explosion in that market in the next 15, 20 years. I always tell people, if you want to invest money quietly, invest it up on land on water, because I think it's going to be a huge value going forward. So back to Walter. I enjoy sports. I'm a huge sports fan. Yes. I still play hockey at this age of my life, and I enjoy biking. I try to stay fit, and I can't honestly say that I enjoy golf. I play it, but
I know my husband also doesn't like golf.
A lot of people invite me. I'm very gracious, but it's not high on my hit list.
All right, maybe to do with ReMax.
I don't know. We'll see.
Because my husband's with ReMax too. Okay, so now your family has a lot of philanthropic endeavors. What are some of these causes that are close to your heart?
Well, obviously the ones that have touched our lives. We support quite a few hospitals together. I support the armed troops in Canada. I'm a supporter of Troop 88 Love. We support a lot of shelter work. We obviously in ReMax we support Children's Miracle Network.
Yes.
Our organization gave over $40 million to through our membership. Our agents have done that. The Children's Miracle Network. We also support breast cancer.
Yes.
It's something that touches unfortunately so many lives, and with over 50% of our membership being women, and everybody has a mother or a sister.
Absolutely.
It's a cause that's very dear to our heart. So those are the kind of the major causes that we support. There are so many good ones, and I think my only advice to people that support them is pick a few and get
that
behind
are close
it.
to your heart.
That are close to your heart for whether it's touched your life, or whatever that might be. And there are so many noble causes, and,
Yes.
but those are the ones that we support.
Being Canadian is to be able to give back. It is always a good
Correct.
thing.
Correct.
Wonderful. So what would you like to leave our viewers with? One thought that you think someone who's struggling with his or her dreams as a new immigrant, let's say, or maybe a child of an immigrant.
Sure.
So
Well,
what would you like to tell them?
I think the most important thing I can tell them is to become really engaged in this country.
Yes.
I think, you know, what I've seen from other immigrants and my parents and where I was raised is those that I think you really have to cherish your heritage.
Absolutely.
But I think you need to really become Canadian.
Yes.
And, you know, live this Canadian life. You know, it's all of us are proud of our ethnic heritages, and so we should be.
We should, yes.
Which is a wonderful thing. But notwithstanding, I think you need to be really engaged in this country.
Absolutely,
You know,
because without that, without
Correct.
integration and
Correct.
engagement, you
Correct.
cannot reach your
Correct.
goals.
I think my partner's an immigrant too. He came to Canada in 1953, and I don't think you turn your back on your heritage, but I think you got to cut that umbilical cord.
Yes.
And I think you got to put both feet and plant them firmly in the ground, and just assimilate.
And embrace the country,
Correct.
embrace the culture,
Correct.
embrace the good things. There are lots
Correct.
of good things in this culture, and embrace all the opportunities. And if you don't know, ask questions. And as you said, there are people who you can go to who will be more than happy to share.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Nice to be here. Thank you.